My name is ARNO PENZIAS, and I am half responsible, for the discovery of the CMB, which is the cosmic microwave background radiation. This proves the existence of the Big Bang, but we'll get into that later. Here's how I found the CMB. I was working at 30 years old in 1965 at Bell Labs as a radio astronomer. And I was looking for something different, but using this large horn antenna that they had discharged from commercial use, I kept hearing this background noise, this hum that was coming from everywhere. I tried to rule out a bunch of different things. We thought it could be New York City that was causing this hum. So we pointed the antenna towards New York City, and it wasn't New York City, it was still there. And we pointed it towards the sun, it wasn't the sun making the noise. We pointed it towards a billion, it wasn't anything. We couldn't figure out what it was. For a second we thought it was pigeons, because there were pigeons nesting and leaving droppings in the antenna, and it wasn't the pigeons. We killed the pigeons, and it wasn't the pigeons. So after trying to figure out what it was for so long, we called this astrophysicist. We called this physicist from Princeton University, and his name was Robert Dicke. And he had been working on this theory about the Big Bang, saying that the universe isn't infinite, but that it had a beginning that just was a big explosion, and that's how the universe started. He was actually testing this theory. He was working on testing his hypothesis when we called him and told him what we had found, that this unwanted noise, this buzz, wasn't from this earth, that it was from the sky. And he put down the phone after we got off the phone from him, realizing that we had just found what he has been searching for years. And he said to his boys, "Well, boys, we've been scooped." When we stumbled upon the CMB, we were actually trying to find neutral hydrogen from the sensitive radio telescope. We did not mean to stumble upon the leftover light, the residual heat from the origin of the universe. Our project occurred in Holmdel, New Jersey, United States of America. And actually recently, the large horn antenna we used was named a National Historic Landmark in 1990. The 1960s kind of started with John F. Kennedy being assassinated, and then the civil rights movement was well underway, led by Martin Luther King Jr., who was also assassinated later in the 60s. The war in Vietnam was well underway, and it was escalating quickly. We came very close to a world nuclear war by the Cuban Missile Crisis. What else was happening? The Beatles were a big thing. Also, by the end of the 60s, a man had walked on the moon. My colleague, Robert Wilson, was also a main part of the study. He was only 27 at the time, actually. Wilson and I were both the heads of the project, since we were both using the radio telescope for our own personal research after it was freed up from commercial use. Wilson and I received credit for the discovery of the CMB when we won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1978, and the discovery of the CMB really laid a foundation for learning more about the origins of the universe. It was really the first strong evidence that people had towards the Big Bang Theory being the truth of the origins of the universe. The cosmic microwave background radiation is the noise that fills the universe at all times. essentially, it is the leftover light and heat from the Big Bang, which was the violent explosion that started the universe, essentially. Billions of years ago, 13.8 billion years ago, when they believe the Big Bang happened, it was much more bright and noisy, per se. But since the universe expanded so much and so rapidly, the CMB ended up being a uniform intensity no matter where you look. And now it's really only a faint glow in the background of everyday life. It is not seen by the visible eye. It's so cool, in fact, that it is only 3 degrees above absolute zero.